Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. In this video, I'm going to review the Hoover Air Pro and compare it to the Dyson DC41 Animal. This video is going to have two parts. The first part, I am going to kind of review and compare the features, functionality, and specifications of the Hoover Air Pro and the Dyson DC41 Animal to kind of give a really good comparison and see how the Hoover stacks up against arguably the best vacuum out there right now. So if you want to skip ahead to the test in which I compare both vacuums on carpet and hard floor to see which one actually works the best, go ahead and click the link at the bottom of the video there. Otherwise, right now I'm just going to move on to kind of comparing how the vacuums look on paper and how they work in the home. So first, before I get started, why am I doing this video? I guess you could consider me somewhat of a vacuum nerd. It started a few years ago when I bought my first Dyson, a DC25, which I think was the first with the ball. I loved it. It picked up considerably more junk out of my carpet and off my floors than my generic vacuum that I used before. And I just thought it was an excellent machine. I found the DC41 Animal on sale during Black Friday, and I picked it up and I gave my DC25 away to a family member who is currently really enjoying it as well. Also, I did another review, or rather a comparison on YouTube a few months ago with the Bissell Big Green Deep Cleaning Machine carpet cleaner. I was amazed at how well that worked on our carpet. It changed it from really dirty color to basically back to new. And I was able to obtain a rug doctor, and I did a side-by-side comparison. You can check that out in the link at the bottom of the video now too. But anyway, since I've had experience with Dyson and I'm really interested in vacuums for whatever reason, I check Amazon.com and see what vacuums are the latest and greatest out there. And I stumbled upon the Hoover Air Pro. And what I like to do is I like to look at the individual reviews for the different products. And the Hoover Air Pro is getting excellent reviews. A lot of them are comparing it to the Dyson, saying it has better suction and cleans better. And the Hoover Air Pro currently retails for about $180, whereas the Dyson DC41 Animal goes for about $600. I got it for significantly less for sale on Black Friday, which I suggest most people do, but those are approximately the going prices for each vacuum. So really quick, I think it's worth noting why are Dysons so popular. They seem to be the benchmark to which most vacuums are compared. You can look at pretty much any vacuum on Amazon, go into the reviews, and people will mention how well it does against a Dyson, in their opinion. So basically what I think, there are a number of reasons why Dyson is so popular. The first of which is that it generally picks up more dirt. It has great suction. I experienced this personally with the Dyson DC25, and I believe the DC41 is the same. A great suction. It pulls a lot of junk out of your carpet. As far as official specifications, Dyson is the only one, considering the Hoover and the Dyson together, Dyson is the only one that released specific measurement on how much it actually sucks. Dyson says that their vacuum, the DC41, sucks 235 air watts. Now, that's kind of a useless number because I have no idea what the Hoover, or how well the Hoover would do compared to that in terms of the same measurement. I don't know, but you can skip ahead or wait till our test to see how well they both compare. Next, I think one of the major features that makes Dyson so popular is that they're bagless. It's pretty awesome not to have to buy bags and install them and uninstall them all the time. It's a great feature. It's so helpful to just take the bin off when you're done vacuuming, take it outside, dump it into your trash can, pop it right back into the vacuum, and you're done. Excellent feature. In terms of how both the vacuums compare in terms of bin capacity, the Dyson DC41 is supposed to hold 0.55 gallons of junk, whereas the Hoover Air Pro is reported to hold 0.4 gallons. So the Dyson beats out the Hoover in that regard marginally. Both of the bins are very easy to remove. The Dyson, you just click it and pull it out, pop it back on. Hoover, pretty much the same thing. Pull it out, and easy to go back on. However, with the Hoover, I think there's an added complication with emptying the bin. Right here, you have to press here in order for this latch to open up and drop all the junk out into the trash can. So you basically need two hands, one to hold the bin and then one to empty it. Whereas the Dyson, I think, is a little bit more convenient. All you do is you press this button here a little bit harder, and there you go. I will vacuum that up later. All right, next up, another feature on the Dysons is that they have washable filters. They have two filters. One is a first stage, and one is a second stage filter, and I think that is excellent. Neither of the two Dysons I've owned, the DC25 or the DC41, emitted any type of nasty dander dirt smell when I vacuumed. I think that's great because previous vacuums I've owned, I kind of always dreaded vacuuming because they made the house smell terrible. I'd have people come over and just ask me, what's that burning hair smell, or what's that really nasty smell? And I'd have to tell them, oh, I just vacuumed. It's no big deal. Whereas with the Dyson, you don't get that. I think that's great. Now the Hoover Air Pro is the same way. It has two filters, and they function exactly the same way. You don't smell anything while you vacuum. Oh, actually, let me change that statement. With both vacuums, you don't smell dirt or dander or anything. What you do smell is kind of like a slight plasticky odor, which I don't think is bothersome, but it's worth noting. With both vacuums, the filters they have are supposed to be lifetime filters. You just wash them intermittently, and that's how you maintain them. You don't have to replace them, supposedly. I haven't had a Dyson vacuum for longer than 2 years, so I don't know how they'll stack up. I've never owned a Hoover bagless before, so I don't know how that's going to work in terms of longevity, but reportedly both vacuums have lifetime filters. Now, in terms of filtration quality, both vacuums are supposed to have HEPA filtration, which is supposed to be kind of like the top of the line filtration ability. The Dyson DC41 is supposed to filter up to 0.5 microns, whereas the Hoover Air Pro is supposed to filter up to 0.3 microns. So on paper, the Hoover Air Pro has the Dyson DC41 beat, but in my opinion, using both vacuums for approximately a month, I don't notice any difference in terms of the smell or the stench or anything while you're vacuuming. No issue in my opinion. Next up, another feature that's great on Dysons is that they have a 5-year warranty. That puts a lot of people's minds at ease because or the minds of a lot of people at ease, because spending so much money on the vacuum kind of lends one to think, well, when is it going to break down? What am I going to have to repair later? What other additional costs are there supposed to be? I think it's pretty cool to know that if I'm going to spend this much money, not only am I going to get a well-performing vacuum, but I'm not going to have to spend anything else on it. It's supposed to be completely self-contained and reliable, and if it's not reliable, the company is going to take care of it. Well, in comparison, the Hoover Air Pro has a 5-year warranty also. I think that's great. So basically, you get kind of the same deal with the Hoover. Next up, another feature on the Dyson, which I think is cool, is that it has a detachable wand. It's just kind of a full, complete system. You don't have to go into your closet and pull out another wand and attach it. You can be in the middle of vacuuming the house, just stop and pull off the wand and use it. I think it's a pretty simple process. Right now I have the cord on because I'm not vacuuming. If you're vacuuming, obviously the cord would be off. You just turn that down. I'm gonna throw the cord over there, and this thing right here comes up and the wand just comes out. Pretty simple, but I think it's pretty cool. The DC25 I owned had the Same feature, although it was designed a little bit differently. Now, in comparison, the Hoover Air Pro has pretty much the same thing. Basically, all you do is you press down on this button here. Remember, I'm doing this all with one hand here. I'm holding my my camera phone, but you press down, and this comes out. Pretty cool, pretty simple. And one thing I really like on the Hoover that the Dyson doesn't have any longer is that the Hoover has this metal wand right here. The Dyson's wand is plastic. In fact, most of the things on the Dyson are plastic, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But that may be an advantage in Hoover's court here. Now, considering the detachable wand, you also have the hose to deal with. Both vacuums have a hose that go from the vacuum to the wand. The Dyson DC41 has a hose that is 15.4 feet long, and the Hoover has a hose that is 12 feet long. Okay, well, it sounds like the Dyson has a Hoover beat, but let me state this. One of my gripes with Dyson, and I don't have many of them, is that the hose here is actually very stiff. If you look at the reviews on pretty much any Dyson out there, a lot of people will complain that the hose is very stiff. So you can detach the wand, leave the vacuum where it is, start vacuuming, and as you pull away from the vacuum will want to tip over. The hose may be longer, but it's not as flexible. So you kind of ask yourself, well, what advantage does the extra length give me if I can't use it? Looking at the Hoover, their hose is actually very flexible, much more so than the hose on the Dyson. So I think even though the Dyson has a reportedly longer hose, the Hoover probably wins out in terms of functionality. And I think that's important here to consider not only the numbers on paper, but the overall functionality of both machines. Next up, Dysons are cool because they have various attachments you can use. So with this one, and I think almost all Dyson vacuums will have several attachments that are attached or on the vacuum itself. So you have like a upholstery or stair tool, a dusting brush, and like a crevice attachment, and they all just kind of snap in place there very conveniently. And I'm not going to pull this entire thing out, but what I like is the attachments go right into the wand and snap in place very firmly, and it just goes in there very strongly. You know where it goes, and you know when it's going to stay there because it clicks, and you have a little button to release it. Let me go ahead and pull that out. Here we go. So that's how the Dyson works. Well, Hoover recognized that advantage and provided little attachments of their own. So this is what Hoover provides. Kind of the same thing, a little dusting tool. This right here, let's see if I can get it to work with one hand. Press that, and you got your little crevice attachment right there. All right, and the wand, as I've previously shown you, pops out. Let me make sure that the bin is in properly. There we go. The wand detaches like that. And I want to show you one thing I don't like about the Hoover. And this is, I think, a matter of taste, not functionality. But you see the attachment here? It just slides on the end of the wand here. There's no click. There's no like predetermined spot you have to put it in order for it to go on. You just pop it on and you get it on there nice and snug. And to get it off, you just kind of pop it out. It works. I don't think there's anything wrong with the function of it, but it's kind of like the overall look and design of the vacuum I don't think is as detailed as with the Hoover. That's just personal preference. I don't think it's going to affect how you vacuum at all. Also, in addition to that, both vacuums come with a nifty little attachment that kind of allows you to vacuum areas without using the cleaner head. So Dyson provides this thing. They call it the tangle-free turbine tool. I use it to clean our couch, and it's supposed to prevent hair and stuff from getting tangled in the brush. I think it's a pretty cool attachment. I'm not sure how much better it is than a typical brush attachment, but it works, and that's what Dyson provides. Well, I think Hoover provides this with many of their vacuums, especially their pet versions. Hoover provides this guy right here. So very similar. The brush itself is powered by the suction of the vacuum, just like with the Dyson here. I must have cut my finger on something, but same principle. You can use it on the couch, stairs, whatever, and it will just agitate much better than, say, this attachment right here, where you just had to rub it back and forth constantly. So in terms of the performance between these two attachments, I don't know. I've actually barely used this thing because I don't vacuum the couch very often unless it really looks like it needs to be vacuumed. And this thing I just haven't used before. My guess is that they're pretty comparable. But both machines have this attachment, which I think is cool. Next up, another thing that makes Dyson pretty well sought after is the fact that it's pretty maneuverable. One of the trademarks of a Dyson is that they have a ball, and the ball allows you to kind of turn your wrist and, there we go, turn your wrist and then go different directions very easily. So with a traditional vacuum, you have to go back and forth and kind of move it like this in order to get it in a certain spot. But say you're vacuuming right here and you need to get, let's pretend this is a chair, you get in here, you just kind of turn it, get in there. It's pretty cool. I really like this feature. I liked it a lot on the DC25 I owned, but in my opinion, the DC41 does not work as well, and I think that's due to one thing primarily, which is the redesign of the ball. The DC25 came with a solid ball, and it had a hose that went from the cleaner head back around, I think, into the back of the vacuum here. Well, with the DC41, they wanted it to look more sleek. I think just look more pretty overall. I mean, it's easier to sell a product if it looks better. And I think they've accomplished the looks portion. I mean, it's an excellent looking vacuum. But with the redesign, you don't have a solid ball. So this right here moves independently of this one. And, it flexes a little bit. And ultimately what that results in is a little bit less maneuverability. But it's a plus side of Dyson's, which a lot of people love. What I think Hoover did that's very excellent with the Air Pro is they've basically copied the same functionality of the ball without using the ball. I don't know if Dyson has the ball trademarked or what, but all you do is you put your foot down on the cleaner head, pull back on the vacuum, and you have the same exact functionality of the ball without the ball. And in my opinion, this works better than the ball on the Dyson DC41. Hoover did an excellent job. So you don't have what some people may argue is a gimmicky feature, but you still have the functionality. I think that's great. Hoover did a great job of that by recognizing the advantage of that function on the Dyson and replicating it, I think, in a better way. Next up, I think what makes Dysons popular is that they look cool. I've kind of already talked about that already. But overall, they look really nice. I don't think I need to explain that much more. But yeah, and the Hoover, I think looks pretty good. I don't think it looks quite as good as the Dyson, but this is all subjective. I'm not going to spend much more time on it. You guys know what you like, and you will act accordingly. Some of the other features of the vacuum, I think, are the cleaning head. The Dyson DC41 has a, let me go ahead and move this so you guys can see, has a very unique cleaning head. It adjusts to compensate for either use on carpet or moving on to hard floors. This is a unique to Dyson as far as I understand, and it's only used on this model and the Dyson DC40, I believe. I don't know if any of their smaller vacuums have it, but in my opinion, it works pretty well. And I'm just looking at this here, one of the things that kind of bugs me, and it's a small issue, is you can see this part right here. This is where the belt turns the brush roll. Well, basically, you're not getting any agitation right here. You have the brush on this side, you have the brush on this side, and you don't have anything here. And you can actually see that reflected in the marks on the carpet. So that kind of bugs me a little bit, knowing that just a little strip of carpet wherever I vacuum isn't getting agitated and probably isn't getting cleaned as well as the other parts. Kind of a nitpicky thing, but it is what it is. But one thing I do like, and I think this is on many Dyson vacuums, is that the edge cleaning is usually pretty good, like right up against walls and whatnot, because this right here is so thin. You get agitation very close to the side of a wall on both sides. So I guess, this is going to have to be somewhere, whether it's on the side here or in the middle. It's going to be somewhere because the brush roll needs to be turned. That's just a fact. But like I said, that bugs me a little bit. Now, looking at the Hoover, we don't have the belt in the middle. We actually have the belt right here. So same thing, that this has to be somewhere, right? And the motor's right here, by the way. But if you look, I was just talking about the edge cleaning on the Dyson. The edge cleaning is not going to be nearly as good here because you have so much space in between where the wall is going to hit and where the brush roll actually hits the carpet, or if you're on a hard floor, where the suction is going to be the strongest, okay? And another thing that I don't really like about the Hoover Air Pro is that the side here is very rubbery, which, is a plus. You don't want to damage your furniture, your walls, or whatever, but it actually causes friction against the wall. So you can't just kind of run the vacuum right along your wall. It hits and stops the vacuum. It's kind of annoying. And one other thing I didn't remember to talk about with the Dyson is that part of the brush roll design pops off so you can access the brush roll and pull hair out. If you have pets, most of the time you're going to have hair get stuck on the brush roll. It just happens. With the Hoover Air Pro, you have to have these screws out in order to fully access the brush roll and pull the hair out. And I think that's a little bit cumbersome. Again, maybe a smaller detail, but if you have pets in your house, we have 2 dogs. This can be a little annoying. Usually on the Dyson, I pull hair out of it about once every 3 uses, maybe every other use if there's a lot of hair on the ground. It's not an every use type of thing, but it's something worth considering. Another thing is weight. The Dyson line, I think, is generally considered somewhat of a lightweight vacuum line. The Dyson DC41 is supposed to weigh in at, 17.1 pounds. Okay, the Hoover Air Pro, in comparison, is supposed to weigh 14.4 pounds. So it sounds like the Hoover Air Pro, and you can kind of sense that in their name, Air. The Hoover Air Pro has a slight advantage over the Dyson, and you can actually feel this while using the 2 vacuums. Again, I don't get tired and worn out using the DC41 Animal, but you can tell if you lift both vacuums up, it's something noticeable. And then there's the cord length. The cord length on the Dyson DC41 is 35 feet. So as you plug it into an outlet and you get the vacuum 35 feet away, wherever you want. The Hoover Air Pro, in comparison, has a 30-foot cord. So 5-foot difference, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Most of us have houses with different rooms and floor layouts that are such as that we're removing the cord and going to another room or another part of the house anyway. We don't need to plug in one spot in the house and just keep the cord plugged in that one spot and vacuum the whole house from that way. I don't think that's anyone's wish, but basically pretty comparable cord lengths. Your call on whether or not you like one over the other. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. And then very quickly, before we move on to the test portion of my review comparison, I just want to talk kind of briefly about the downsides to the Dyson DC41 Animal. First of all, most people are going to notice the price. Like I said, about $600. My advice to you is look for them on sale, Black Friday. Dyson runs promotions sometimes. Also, check out store discounts. Um, Department stores like Kohl's will run 20% off on products and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Another viable option is that Dyson sells refurbished vacuums. They look, according to what I've read, essentially brand new. They just have used parts inside, like the vacuum motor and whatnot. And I think they come with a 6-month warranty. So that's compared to the 5-year warranty on the brand new vacuums. If you look at the reviews on Amazon, the refurbished units are pretty good. Next, well, I guess I should know, and I've already mentioned it, but the Hoover Air Pro is something like a third of the cost of the Dyson DC41. I think a lot of people will take that into consideration when buying a vacuum. Next, one of the things I don't like, or another thing I don't like, is you can kind of sense it from the way the vacuum looks, but the vacuum feels very plastic. A lot of people probably don't like that, and if you read the reviews, they don't. They get upset. Well, why am I paying $600 about for a vacuum that feels like it's going to break? I don't think they break as easily as they feel they might, but I mean, just look at the flex. Let's see here. It flexes a lot. I guess that's what you get when you use a lot of plastic. It may be to keep costs down. It may be to keep the weight down. I don't know. Also, another thing I don't like about this particular model is that the way the vacuum locks in place is kind of deceiving. The DC25 used to have a little latch down here. You push it down, then you could pull the vacuum down and use it. If you push it up, it would lock in place and stay there until you touch that latch again. The DC41 Animal is supposed to be more convenient, but I think it's more complicated. You push it forward and it locks in place, but sometimes, you'll be using the vacuum, push it up, you hear that click, but it's not actually locked in place. You have to wait for the smaller click. There it is. So I think a lot of people who use this vacuum for the first time will drop it on the floor accidentally. You saw how I used the Hoover Air Pro before. You just put your foot down on the brush roll and pull the vacuum down. You push the vacuum up, it kind of locks there. I think the functionality of the Hoover is a little bit better in that regard. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and check out how both vacuums compare on carpet and on hard floor. Okay guys, now we're going to do an actual test comparison to see how well the DC41 Animal by Dyson compares to the Hoover Air Pro. We're going to be using baking soda to kind of simulate dust and dander, which is, I think, what most of us want out of our carpets. Hair is a little bit harder to measure, so we're going to stick to the baking soda, and we're going to basically weigh how much of the baking soda each of the vacuums pick up. So to start with, we're going to turn on our scale. Stick our cup on here, and it's important to zero it out, and we're going to put down 8 ounces of baking soda for each vacuum to pick up. 8 ounces, I believe, is half a pound. So zero out this cup here. It says 0. Now let's very carefully get down 8 ounces exactly of baking soda. Hopefully I don't overshoot it. Close. Looks like 8 ounces to me. And first we're going to start with the Dyson DC41 Animal and then compare that to the Hoover Air Pro. So we got our 8 ounces of baking soda, and I'm going to try to get a nice even pattern here. Let's see if I can get it to start coming out. There we go. Okay, I noticed a few chunks are kind of falling away, so I'm going to bend down and grab those. Okay, there we go. And let's see. Come on down here. Let's try to mix this into the carpet a little bit. Smash down those chunks. Okay, take my hands off. And the next step is very important. We need to zero the scale out according to the weight of the bin. So zero it out so we get an even measurement, an accurate measurement here. All right. So now we're zeroing out the scale so we can measure precisely how much of the baking soda ends up in this bin. Scale is zeroed. Now I'm going to try to make 9 passes, and I'm going to do the same amount of passes with the Hoover Air Pro. So this is the DC41 Animal by Dyson. So 9 passes. Let's see how much of the baking soda we picked up. We have 7 ounces. I'm going to go ahead and write that down so we don't forget it. We have 7 ounces. All right, next up we're going to do the Hoover Air Pro. Okay, now we're going to see how the Hoover Air Pro stacks up against the Dyson DC41. So we're going to follow the same exact procedure with this run. Put this cup on here, zero it out. Let's get exactly 8 ounces in here. Looks like we got 8 ounces exactly. So I'm going to try to put it on the carpet in approximately the same area and shape as I did with the the Dyson DC41. So let's see how we can do this. I want to keep things as equal as possible to keep the results as valid as possible. And I don't have any preference to how this will turn out. I'm always looking for the best deal, which is the most effective product at the cheapest price. I'm sure most of you guys are the same. Okay, now just like before, I'm going to bend down there and kind of rub in the baking soda a little bit. get it more embedded in the carpet. Crush some of these small guys, small clumps. And I did vacuum this carpet beforehand, so only thing that the vacuums should be picking up is the baking soda. Okay. Oh, I noticed a couple clumps right here. Let's make sure those are on the right side. Okay. All right, so let's make sure we zero the scale out to the weight of the bin. Zero it out. Let's see how much it picks up. I'm going to do 9 passes like I did with the Dyson DC41 Animal. We have to keep things fair. So we got 9 passes. Let's see how much it picked up. We got 7 1/4 ounces. Good thing I wrote it down. It looks like the Hoover Air Pro picked up a 1/4 ounce more than the Dyson 41 Animal vacuum. Okay, now we're going to see how well the Dyson DC41 Animal compares to the Hoover Air Pro on hard floor. Just like on the carpet, we're going to use baking soda, but instead of doing 8 ounces this time, I think we're going to do 4 because 8 ounces on hard floor is a lot to pick up. So we're going to follow roughly the same procedure for each vacuum. Just like before, let's go ahead and get this cup on here. Zero it out. We're going to get 4 ounces. Actually, let's move this over just a little bit so it's not teetering. And there we go. So let's get 4 ounces. Four ounces. Okay. I'm going to spread it across about the length of 3 tiles here. And I'm going to get some up against the wall because I do believe that edge cleaning is important to consider. Okay. Get that. Just like before, we're going to zero out the scale to the weight of the bin. Actually, let's see. 0. Zero. Okay, let's see how this vacuum does. that was 4 passes. I'm going to do the same thing with the Hoover Air Pro. Let's make sure that we're not hitting the plant here. 4 ounces. It looks like it picked up all of the baking soda. So I'm going to put down 4 ounces right here, just so I don't forget. All right, next up is the Hoover Air Pro. All right, let's go ahead and see how the Hoover Air Pro stacks up against the Dyson DC41 Animal. First, let's go ahead and zero our scale out. Pop our guy on there. Zero it out again. We want exactly 4 ounces of baking soda. We got exactly 4 ounces. Okay, I'm going to put it down in approximately the same area and pattern as I did with the Dyson. Get some up against the wall there. Okay, got it all out. Zero the scale out according to the weight of the bin. Looks like we're ready to go. Now actually, before we get started, I want to know one thing, is that one of the differences between the Hoover and the Dyson is that the Hoover has a pickup hose far to the right of the cleaning head, whereas the Dyson's pickup hose is in the center. So because a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, I'm going to vacuum this way to see how well the vacuum will suck up the furthest away from its suction hose. I think that's only fair. So those are my feelings on that. Let's go ahead and see how well it does. So 4 passes, just like with the Dyson. You can already see that we're not going to see the same number with the Hoover as we saw with the Dyson. But let's go ahead and see how much we picked up. We have 2 7/8 ounces. So I think that's a pretty substantial difference. Not only can you see it on the floor, but you can see it in the measurement as well. Okay guys, so we've finished our testing. We've tested on the carpet and we've tested on the tile, the hard floor, with baking soda. And we have data. We have data to show which vacuum is best in each environment. So when we tested on the carpet, the Dyson DC41 Animal picked up 86% of the baking soda that we rubbed in the carpet, 7 ounces out of 8 ounces. In comparison, the Hoover Air Pro picked up 91% of the baking soda we put on the carpet, 7¼ ounces out of 8 ounces. Now, that's actually surprising to me, considering, as I've stated before, the Hoover Air Pro is 1/3 the price of the Dyson DC41 Animal. And you know what else that tells me is that the reviews are right. People were saying that the Hoover Air Pro was as good or better than the Dyson. Generally, when people were saying these things, they're talking about carpet because that's what vacuums are used on typically. But that leads us to our other category, hard floor. The Dyson DC41 Animal picked up 100% of the baking soda we put down on the hard floor. I was not expecting that number. I didn't think we could achieve 100% with either vacuum. Very impressive. In comparison, the Hoover Air Pro only picked up 72%. That's 2 7/8 ounces out of 4 ounces. A little disappointing in that regard. That is probably due to the active base plate that the Dyson has here. You know, it goes down and it basically achieves as most or as good of a seal as you can get on hard floor with a vacuum, whereas the Hoover Air Pro does not have that active base plate. It just has wheels. It could also be due to the fact that the Hoover has its pick-up hose right here. I honestly don't know why the results are the way they are, but we know that they are what they are. The Dyson DC41 Animal is better on the hard floor, substantially better on the hard floor. The Hoover Air Pro is slightly better on carpet, according to my testing. There are other things on your carpet and floors than fine dander and dust, rocks, little pieces of debris, hair, etc. We only tested baking soda to emulate that fine dander dust. But those are our results. In terms of what we reviewed earlier with the features and specifications on each vacuum, in my opinion, both vacuums are quite similar. I reviewed all of the things, in my opinion, that make Dysons great. They pick up more dirt. Both vacuums are very good at picking up dirt. In fact, the Hoover beat the Dyson unexpectedly. Both are bagless. Both have washable filters. Both have a 5-year warranty. They both have detachable wands that are very convenient to use. They both have usable attachments that achieve their purpose. They're both very maneuverable. In fact, I thought that the Hoover was more maneuverable than the Dyson, surprisingly. And I think they both have a cool look to them. You know, I think they're designed not only functionally well, but aesthetically also. So overall, which is the better vacuum? You know, that's ultimately up to you as an individual buyer. And it depends on the environment in your home. Do you have a lot of carpet? Well, the Hoover does better on carpet than the Dyson, according to our testing. Maybe you should choose the Hoover. Or maybe you have hard floors in your house, but you don't need the vacuum to clean them. You have a Swiffer or some other means. You know, people clean their hard floors differently. If you have tons of hard floors and one of your primary means of cleaning is vacuuming, sounds like the Dyson DC41 Animal would be a better choice for you. But of course, there's always cost. There's always cost involved. Most of us can't just on a whim go buy a $600 vacuum, or even a vacuum on sale, get it closer to $400. That's still a lot of money. With the Hoover Air Pro being roughly 1/3 the cost of the Dyson DC41 Animal, having most of the features and most of the functionality, and in some cases, more features or more functionality than the Dyson DC41 Animal, it appears that overall, the Hoover Air Pro is the best value by far. Weigh everything I've said, weigh all of the facts, the specifications, the features on each vacuum, and decide which one is best for you. Thanks so much for watching.